Dictators. Yes, I am going to be making the Dictators tier list, okay? I was trying to debate on what video would be a good 50k special. And don't get me wrong, there's two videos I'm working on for the 50k special. One where it's just going to be me ranking, tier listing all of my tier list videos based off watchability. But that seems kind of boring considering you guys have been asking for a Dictators tier list for a while now. It is the second most requested tier list out of my entire community. Number one is, I think you guys know, it's probably in the comment section right now. Bro is one of my most committed fans, okay? And I can't really do that, so I'm gonna do the second option. And that is ranking all of the worst and best dictators throughout world history on really just how evil they are, how effective they were as a dictator. Like, I was thinking about doing it, like, off aura, because that would be kind of funny that just becomes, like, how I judge things. However, when we're talking about dictators, let's just keep it real, bro. It's Stalin, Fidel Castro, and then evil Mustache Man in terms of aura. Everybody else is, like, battling for, like, 4th or 5th place. No, we're going to be going off effective. Give you a brief rant, because this is going to be a very ranty video. There's just no way around it, and I think that's secretly why you guys want me to do it, because you guys really liked when I was roasting Christopher Columbus for like 2 minutes straight. And if you like that, no, that's going to be basically the entirety of this video, okay? Might be a little bit longer because we do got some actual history to get into. A lot of research was done into this video because I wanted to do it justice, okay? But I also just want to say thank you for getting me to 50,000 subscribers. We started this channel on April 6th of this year. In 230 days, we went from 0 to 50,000 subscribers, okay? I am thankful for all the support that you guys give this channel of a just random white dude in his upstairs middle room ranting about things that he finds interesting, okay? Honestly, yeah, now that I say it out loud, the crazier it is. I'm just gonna keep on giving you guys the same videos we got. I want to up the production quality of the channel a little bit. Maybe go from, like, this to, like, Wendigoon caliber. Not really editing heavy, but still fun. And I've been ranting for too long. If you want to continue to support this channel, at this point, I don't have any subscriber goals until January. I'm gonna say 100k subscribers before GTA 6 comes out. That's my new goal, so please consider a like, comment, subscribe, share it to somebody that you think would enjoy this video, and let's get into the Dictators tier list. Let's go. Saddam Hussein. We're going straight into the deep end because we got a lot. Saddam Hussein's career I can really just boil down to bro had daddy issues, gets into politics, and, like, it's gonna sound like I'm gonna be giving these guys, like, the benefit of the doubt. No. Saddam Hussein came up in the government of Iraq when it was, like, probably the most politically turbulent, okay? This was back when Iraq had a royal family. Now it's just Saudi Arabia and a few other oil barons. No, Iraq had a royal family that was ruling over the country for a time. And then as Saddam Hussein was coming up, first off, yeah, bro got beat by his dad and then ran away to Baghdad, where he would later be named the Butcher of Baghdad. We'll get into why that name is fitting. Saddam Hussein starts climbing the ladder of power. He goes from a military leader to head of security to the vice president to the one and only president / dictator of Iraq. Some highlights along the way. He staged probably one of the dumbest assassination attempts I have ever seen in history. That's so funny that I'm actually going to tell you what happened. So there was the current president over the Iraqi country was taking a drive down like a fairly empty road. Saddam Hussein was tasked as the guy to head the assassination because he had the most military experience. And I'm going to say clearly not a fucking enough because the president was driving down the road and then for whatever reason, Saddam thought it was a genius idea to have 2 firing brigades on each side of the car when he drove by. What do you think went wrong? What do you think would be the problem in putting 2 firing squads, one on this side, one on this side, and they are literally facing each other, and we're relying on a car to drive in the middle of them? Yes, Saddam got shot in his own assassination attempt of somebody else. Bro nearly died, didn't kill the president, and then Saddam went to go study law in Cairo in Egypt. Brother, how do you dude, The assassination of Franz Duke Ferdinand was like, that shouldn't have gone well. If anyone doesn't know, that's the assassination attempt that kicked off World War I, which later kicked off World War II, because World War II was just a continuation of World War I. What essentially happened is the Archduke Franz Ferdinand drove down a road, and the assassination got the wrong road, and then Duke Ferdinand, okay, the assassins were at a cafe because they were bummed that they fucked up the assassination attempt, and then the driver of Franz Ferdinand, for not one real fucking reason, decided to turn down the road of the cafe, so the assassins only got to get Franz Ferdinand because the driver made a mistake. They came in and just unloaded into that bitch and killed him. And that kicked off both world wars. Bro was 19 years old. A 19-year-old that was probably an incel caused 2 world wars. Okay, bro couldn't catch a body in bed, so he catched 20 million. Thanks, bro. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein fucks up this assassination attempt. Okay, keep in mind, this guy's the head of security. Goes to study law in Cairo. There's another assassination attempt on the very same dude that, if I remember correctly, ended up killing him. And then he travels back to Iraq. His buddy, a distant relative, yes, Saddam Hussein is technically a Nepo baby, was made the vice president purely off of loyalty and how, like, bro was a ruthless man, okay? Like, Saddam Hussein personally perfected, I think, okay, no, this is where we're getting into some propaganda. What I mean by propaganda, I believe he did torture people. I don't believe he invented 200 different forms of torture. Like, dog, bro is going about talking about how he's the Michael Jordan of torture. I'm sorry, bro. Like, that's a little crazy, but actually, you're probably right. I'm not even gonna lie, bro. Uday Hussein, his son, was also really crazy. That's a whole other video. But Saddam Hussein was like the personal torturer of the fastest party of Iraq. And then Saddam Hussein gained a lot of what's the best way to describe this? Gained a lot of confidence of torturing people and being very, very feared, okay? He recruited a bunch of young, disenfranchised young men to help support his cause, because I'm like, historically speaking, if there's a group of young men that don't have a purpose, there's 2 things that they're gonna do. They're either going to get indoctrinated into the military, or be the personal muscle of a guy who wants to have the military. Historically speaking, that's almost always been the truth. And Saddam Hussein did that, got a bunch of young men, and they became the Hand of Hussein. Basically his private police force that kind of took out all types of opposition for him politically. And then went, called up his distant relative who was the president of Iraq and told him, hey, bro, I told a bunch of your constituents that you were sick and very, very ill and you were going to step down. And then his buddy, the president, said, I'm not sick though. Why are you lying about me? I will fucking kill you if you don't step down. And then he stepped down. Like Saddam just straight up told the president, you're not going to want to come into school tomorrow. Like that. I don't know. I love history. The reason I love history is I can say something happened, that 100% happened, and then you'll hear that and be like, there's no way that happened. You learned that from a movie. And then I get to look you in the eyes and say, where the fuck do you think the movie learned it from? Saddam Hussein straight up told the president of Iraq at the time, hey, yo, bro, you're gonna call in sick tomorrow or something bad's gonna happen. And then Saddam Hussein became the president / dictator. What I mean by dictator is he just became the dictator. Saddam was just evil. Brother, they called him the butcher of Baghdad. Like, I understand, like, America gets a bad rap globally. One of the few, like, good things that we've done was get rid of Saddam in the Hussein dynasty over Iraq. His son alone, I think his son alone committed like 120 human rights violations, including torture. Bro would stroll up to like weddings in Iraq, kill the husband, take the wife, and then feed the wife to his dogs. Okay, Uday Hussein was fucking evil. Okay, Saddam, who is the Michael Jordan of torture, said his son was too evil to inherit the dictatorship. Imagine being Saddam Hussein and having a kid that is like, yo, bro, I understand that, like, I've done some fucked up shit and everything, and, like, you know, told my distant relative that I was gonna kill him if he didn't move out. And, you know, like, all of the torturing I did. I fired live chemical weapons into my own people, which is something that even evil Mustache Man didn't do. Gas attacks, artillery fire, silencing opposition. Yeah, no, all that. My son's the spawn of a fucking devil. And I can't even disagree with you. Dude, there is such a unintentionally funny joke. Not joke, this really did, what am I talking about? This happened. Idi Hussein discovered the internet, and there was a dude in the government that said, the world became 10% more dark the moment Idi discovered the internet. Bro. Like, dude, no, they were evil. Like, you have any idea how evil you gotta be for the U.S. government to stroll into your country and sentence you to death, and we're like, yo, I don't agree with, like, what we do, but, like, damn, bro, we did the right thing here. There was a week-long celebration when we sentenced Saddam Hussein to death. That's all I'm saying. Saddam Hussein, but he's going, like, but, I'm sorry, he's that evil. Like, he really is. What it really came down to is bro, like, went to young men, made them his own private police force, which, historically speaking, has always been done. You had the Black Search, you had the Gestapo, you had a whole bunch of these guys. That's what Saddam did. There's nothing really new that he did outside of actually just killing his own people, like, discriminately of who they were following. Oh, the one thing that I will admit that is badass, it is evil, but it is badass, okay? Is there was a dude that was secretly going against him in his own regime, and he came to this dude and gave him a script to read off of, and he said that if you read off this script, we're going to exile you from the country with your family, and you'll be able to live, but you'll be exiled from Iraq, and everyone will think that you're dead. So he reads the script, and the script, I shit you not, was him confessing to that there was a secret coup d'etat to get rid of Saddam Hussein, and he invited all of his Saddam invited all of his oh my gosh, constituents, holy shit, constituents over to the theater, and they were meant to watch it with him, and the list that he gave the coup d'etat guy who was doing this to save his family, it was the entire guest list of everybody that was in the theater. And everybody that got their name read, despite who they were following, was immediately executed in the back alley. So you hear this and you're like, but why would he do that? What he wanted to do is that everybody who stood up and proclaimed their loyalty to Saddam Hussein got their name crossed off the list and they got to live. All of this was to prove loyalty to the Hussein regime. Oh, and also the guy who read off the list, yeah, no, he immediately just got killed with a firing squad in the back. Like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Brother, you really think you were surviving all that? F that, dog. I think his family died also, which is really sad, but, it's Saddam Hussein, dog. Evil? Like, evil. Got no diff by the U.S. military in the Gulf War, bitch. Yeah, bro, what's that? 24/7 air support for 31 days? What happened? 4 strongest military in the world got sawed down all the way to the 17th? Ain't nothing. We beat you with our leftovers. Get out of here. Go back. America. Fuck yeah. I'm gonna put Saddam Hussein in like A tier. Is he S tier? Here's the thing. The moment anybody provided pressure on him, the entirety of his regime folded in on itself. I'm sorry, I can't put you in S tier in the Hall of Fames of dictators. However, you're going to be up there. I might move him down based off how short it was, but you know. Oh, and that, yeah, no, I'll move him down to B tier. Brother, he shot himself in his own assassination attempt. B tier. Evil Mustache Man. I think I'm allowed to say it, but I think it's funnier if I just don't say it. And I think it's poetic, because bro wanted his name to be known throughout history, and my last little bit of a bitch slap to him is, I'm not gonna say your name. I think that is the best way to just treat him like Voldemort. You're giving his name power. Brother, your name is outlawed. Like, what are you talking about? Go back to writing a mid-book. Like, come on. Where do I begin with him? Okay, he comes from a family, got beaten up as a kid by his dad. Same old sad story that Saddam and Stalin had. His mom was Jewish, which is very, very interesting. And there are some interesting things about Evil Mustache Man. He served in World War I, almost died in a gas attack. Darn it. On top of all of that, came into, I think it was it wasn't a Marxist, it was a socialist party. Yes. Evil Mustache Man, the original of the Yahtzees, it was a party over about socialism and workers' rights. Like they're like, we can talk about if that's like, we actually can't talk about if that literally is the truth. Like, I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of people weirdly want to die on that hill like he didn't identify as a socialist. No, brother, he very clearly identified as a socialist. You want to debate whether he wanted to do it or not? Like, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of people that get really weird the moment you bring up, no, the Yahtzee party was a socialist party. It was the German Workers' Party. It just turned into fascism when it later got on, which is something I am going to talk about later on. Actually, not even later on. Within like the next few ones, I'll bring it up. But so, Evil Mustache Man was able to gain power purely because they didn't think he was going to get that far. And I have a little theory about Evil Mustache Man. Like, if you ever watched one of his speeches, and I watched like the AI, like they retrained his voice to be like in English, but it's the same like voice module. I'm going to be real. Outside of the crazy shit that he gets into in like the final 5 minutes, seems like a pretty lit time because these people are going crazy, okay? This is how I imagine it went, okay? Germany used to be the mightiest of the European countries. It was our own allies who fed us to the dogs. We were the jewel of Europe. And then everybody there is like, fuck yes, bro. Okay, let's keep on going. We were beaten by traitors within our own wall. We are the greatest group of Europeans to ever exist. If we tapped into our potential, stopped watching our culture get deteriorated in front of our own eyes, we would become the greatest. You were born the greatest. Everybody in the crowd, fuck yes, bro. What do we gotta do? Kill all of the Jews. I imagine at that point, there was still like 90% of people riding off like crowd mentality, and they were like, yeah! And then there was like 2 people who got there late, and they were like, what the fuck did he say? Like, that's how I imagine it went. Like, it had to be one of the craziest meetings of all time, because there's photos of his rallies, okay? There are photos, like, of the rallies he would held. There would be, like, one dude in the crowd that would be like, where did I take the wrong turn to Lululand? Okay? I think bro, like, really understood mob mentality and to get a bunch of, like, I'm gonna tell you 2, 3 truths and then one really, really, really crazy lie. That's really what it came down to. Evil Mustache Man was also famously on a lot of amphetamines and a lot of testosterone. There's a story that he had a meeting with Benito Mussolini, okay? And Mussolini, we're going to talk about in this video. Mussolini wanted to pull out of World War II, and Evil Mustache Man was so pissed off about it that he came to him and literally yelled at him for 2 hours. Apparently, the personal assistants of Benito Mussolini would walk past him and be like, bro, like, why is my dictator getting bits made by the German dictator? Like, that's essentially what was happening for, like, 2 hours. It got so bad that Benito just caved and said, fine, fuck it, we'll still fight. Damn, bro, I can pull some strings. Like, let's stop, fuck. Like, there is something funny about that. However, bro committed a Minecraft save quit before we could get a hold of him. I'm automatically gonna deduct an aura point off of there. Germany was okay, here's the problem. It's easier to install a dictatorship when a country is very, very desperate. You see, Germany was really struggling after World War I because we kind of saddled them with all of the debt of World War I, even though they had no ability to pay for it. And going into World War II, they would literally accept anybody that would give them a better deal. And at least on paper, Evil Mustache Man was offering a better deal. So when people say the German people were evil, like, no. The German people were so desperate that they were willing to commit evils. There is a slight distinction, I understand that, and I'm not giving Evil Mustache Man a pass. No, bro is fucking evil. But, like, your average Joe Smo, I'm kind of like, you were forced to be complicit because there really wasn't a ton of options. Brother, even, like, the Allies admitted that the reason that they forced this crazy debt on Germany is we effectively gained nothing out of World War I. It was so bad that I think it was, like, the Chancellor, not the Chancellor, it might have been them. Yeah. It was the head leaders of, not NATO, the Allied powers at the time. Were so worried of going back to their citizens to tell them that, oh yeah, we gained nothing from World War I and that they were going to lose every possible election after that. So what they did was they wanted to get something out of that, and if they had to take it out of Germany, because Germany didn't actually cause World War I, they caused World War II, but they didn't really cause World War I. The country that did cause it no longer existed, so they couldn't get money out of it. So we essentially just started mugging Germany because we could, and we needed to make some money in World War I. So Germany was so desperate that they went to somebody that was obviously evil. I'm going to put Evil Mustache Man in A. Yeah, I'll put him in A. Like, the fact is, bro did put Europe on the back heels for a little bit until big old USA came in. That's all I gotta say. I can't put him any higher than that, though. I just can't. I really just can't. Kim Jung Un. Here's the problem with Kim Jong Un, okay? I can't give him a lot of credit for being a dictator when he literally got Nepo babied into it. Like, his dad, like, I give more credit to Kim Jong-il. I give more credit to him than I do Kim Jong-un. Because bro got Nepo babied into it. Bro didn't actually have to build the military dictator. Like, what major strides has North Korea actually done, though? Like, honestly, bro, we created our own nuclear weapon. Get in fucking line, pal. We got 2,000 of them bitches. Like, I'm sorry, bro. You have a Cold War era nuclear bomb, bro. Like, what do you want me to say? You sent soldiers into somewhere that has fucking Starlink, and then all of them wouldn't get off the phone because they were all a bunch of gooners. Like, what do you want me to say to that? Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I'm trying to give you respect here, but, like, you claim that you invented the fucking hamburger and that your dad was born inside of a volcano and then, in his first ever game of golf, played a perfect game. Like, I'm sorry, cap. Like, come on. Like, I know other people made up stories, but, like, say what you want. At least Saddam was on the front lines torturing people. Like, what are you gonna do? You made it illegal for people to have the same haircut as you. Trust me, bro. It's yours. What do you want me to say? Like, I'm sorry, bro. We're playing fantasy games. I'm putting Kim Jong-un. This is tough. I'm gonna put him C or D. Here's the problem. I gotta put him in C. Not C. I'm gonna put him in D. Because he got Nepo baby into the position. Like, that's the problem that we're gonna have. Bro didn't actually really have to do anything aside from assassinating his brother. Which, I'm not gonna lie. The way that he did it was pretty funny. Okay? His brother, which was being protected at the time, was in an airport. And then a North Korean operative came to these two, like, Japanese girls and gave them, like, some powder to throw in his face. And they came up to him, threw the powder in his face, and they told them that it was a part of a game show in Japan, and they did it. Actually, it was just poison that killed him damn near instantly. And the girls were like, oh, what did we do? Like, that is one of the most Looney Tunes ass ways I've ever heard of somebody getting assassinated. Like, I'll just be real with you. Why did he do it? Because he was worried that he was going to come back and actually challenge him for the throne, like Game of Thrones style. You see what I mean? Sometimes history is weirder than fiction. Like, no, who comes up with this shit? I'm gonna put him, yeah, I'm gonna keep him in D tier. Keep him in D tier. Joseph Stalin. Okay, where do I begin? Okay. Joseph Stalin came up. He was essentially like a big-time fan of Karl Marx and socialism. Yeah, this is another guy who was like really big in the socialistic structure, and then he became communist the moment he came into power. Lenin didn't even want to make him the dictator. The moment Lenin died, Joseph Stalin used his own private police force to get rid of the guy that was in line and said that he was a traitor and killed him. So, a little foreshadowing for what's to come, but yeah, he was a big fan of that. The best way to describe, to keep it short, the best way to describe Joseph Stalin in his youth, imagine just Hassan Piker. Like, unironically, the more I read about Joseph Stalin, the more I'm like, bro was just the Hassan Piker of his time. Like, He was good looking. He was really good talking about Marxism and socialism. Bro was a really good seller of it. Apparently women were really into him. He got the nickname Man of Steel. Like, unironically, if Joseph Stalin at 20 years old was born today, bro would be a political streamer on Twitch. Bro would actually give Hassan Piker, like, decent competition. Okay, it sounds like I'm throwing shade at Hassan Piker here, which maybe I kind of am, I don't really know. But, like, all I'm saying is I'm not saying Hassan Piker is going to be Joseph Stalin. But Joseph Stalin, if he was born today, would be Hassan Piker. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that people are going to agree with me, but that's how I look at it. And it makes a lot of sense if you look at it that way. Joseph Stalin gets into power, immediately starts making a communist state, and the communist state, essentially what it kind of boiled down to is, the communists really, really, really hate private land ownership. Like, if I had to name all the things that they hate, it's, private land ownership, every fucking thing else, okay? And that, like, if fun drained from the people, they would get rid of fun, and they did. They got rid of casinos. They got rid of casinos, they got rid of clubs, they got rid of pretty much anything recreationally because it drained from the actual Soviet state. However, the Soviet state reigned for such a long time, I gotta give him credit for that because he actually gave the U.S. a good run for its money. Another couple interesting things that Joseph Stalin did is Joseph Stalin set up the gulags, and what effectively the gulags were was like the designated area for political prisoners. And when I mean by political prisoners, I mean like anybody who did not believe in anything about the government. If you said anything mean, automatic gulags. Anything bad about somebody who said something good, straight to the gulags. Like, I'm gonna say this. The Soviet Union were able to taboo so many things that if I were to tell you, we're crazy. Like, if you had an extra potato for, like, your kid who was turning 12, okay? You wanted to give him an extra potato, they would say that you were a political enemy because you were doing something in favor of your child over the Soviet state. Another thing they fucking hate, they hate religion because religion has to go above the government in order for, like, to have, like, a normal relationship. So religion actually has to be subservient to the state in order for it to be allowed. That's another reason why North Korea doesn't like the Bible, because that doesn't jive well. The Soviet state also didn't really like it at all, which is kind of weird considering, there's a lot. There's so much to this. The Cannibal Island, on top of that, Cuban Missile Crisis, when he died, the Soviet Union died. He did give Evil Mustache Man a run for its money, okay? The ultimate villain versus villain matchup was the Germans fighting the Soviets at the Battle of Stalingrad, because so many bad things happened that, like, you're kind of okay with it because they're both bad guys. The Soviets had a big beef with the U.S. after World War II, because essentially what happened is that the U.S. claimed all of the rewards from World War II and didn't really give Joseph Stalin any respect on it. Joseph Stalin was effectively holding the entirety of the German the fighting on the Eastern Front pretty much to himself, and was able to drain so much resources out of him that it made a lot of it possible. Russia hasn't actually fully recovered from the loss of life that occurred during the Battle of Stalingrad, just because of how many bodies got thrown into the meat grinder at that point. It got to the point that the average time of a Soviet soldier was like 3 minutes, which is fucking awful. You had the White Death during the Soviet. There's a lot that happened. I'm going tangent after tangent here. He gave the U.S. a run for its money. Did it with communism. When it fell, everything fell. I'm going to put him in S tier. I think that's valid. I think he had a communist state that were actually able to keep the U.S. up at night with how effective it was, okay? But we just able to outlast him. King Leopold III. I know I said I wasn't going to do kings in, like, a video that I made a while back. I'm going to do King Leopold, the second, because he was a king, but then he was also a dictator over the Congo. Yes, to briefly go into this, King Leopold II is like Mr. Krabs if he was, like, extra greedy, and also a king and a dictator. You see, when King Leopold I died, it left basically the entirety of the Congo all the way to King Leopold II. King Leopold the second put a lot of money into the Congo, and you hear that and you're like, oh, bro's just investing into underprivileged youth. No, like, not at all. Okay? He sank so much money into the Congo that he was starting to go bankrupt, but the reason that he was doing it is he wanted to industrialize the Congo and effectively have another state on top of the kingdom that he already ruled over. And one of the things that he did was endorse the blood rubber working plan. So, to set the scene of what was going on, this was when the automobile, a lot of industrialization, and rubber tires were becoming the new norm. And rubber is very, very, very expensive. Henry Ford actually has his own country called Fordlandia. That's been covered in other YouTube videos, but that's something for later. He did that in Brazil. King Leopold II had the Congo, and the Congo has a lot of rubber trees. So what he did is he went into the Congo, got a bunch of militants from there that were from there natively, gave them a bunch of newfangled weapons that were super effective in the Congo, and then they went to the natives out there and introduced this new working plan where it's basically meant hey, get us rubber or we're going to kill you and your entire family. It was really that simple of a working plan. I think it was red rubber or blood rubber. That was the working plan that they did. And that was meant to signify the blood that was shed of the Congo natives for the working of rubber trees. Harvesting rubber is very, very difficult. I didn't know that. I didn't even know rubber came from trees. I think that's most people. What effectively was happening there is the natives were being worked to death, and if they didn't work to death, they were put to death, and their children were put to death. There is so many horrific stories. What was happening a bunch of the time is like vast mutilation where they would cut off the right hands of all the workers who couldn't meet their quotas. And then King Leopold II was told this, and he was so angry that they were taking the arms, he said, and I quote, "Cut off any other thing on them. I could give a fuck. I need more hands in the Congo. Why the fuck would you cut off their hands?" So yeah, great guy. That actually sounds like something Mr. Krabs would say. So they started cutting off ears and noses from people and then just whipping them until they died. Damn, bro. Congo was going through it. If you want to talk about the sheer amount of death that occurred, the population of the Congo was 20 million before at the start of reign of King Leopold. It went down to 10 million after this was all over. So how did it end? Basically, rubber, you could get rubber from other places, and King Leopold II died peacefully at 74 years old. So yeah, fuck that guy. There really wasn't a happy ending. There's a lot of horrific stories of they would put workers inside of a fishing net, load it up with rocks, and then drag it into rivers, and they would get eaten by crocodiles. So yeah, not good. Not good at all. There's also a story of like one of the governors over a region in the Congo would cut off the heads of lazy workers and make that as a border. Yeah, no, so there's like tons of photos of like skulls being used to decorate like some average white dude's home. So yeah, that happened. King Leopold, fuck you, bro. I'm gonna put you... Here's the thing. Now that I think he was a dictator, but it really boiled down to bro was just a shitty businessman. So I'm gonna put him in C tier. It's also really weird to think about that if you have like a like an authentic like a Model 1 of a Ford car, the tires were probably made out of the rubber from the Congo, which is really fucked up. But hey, you also use a phone that has cobalt that was also extracted with slave labor. So has it really changed? We don't know. We don't know. Mao Ze Dong. Now we're gonna get into some of my rants, bro. People have... I actually had, like, one comment that was talking about, like, me representing socialism. Misrepresenting it. Here's my thing, bro. Socialism, historically speaking, is always... pretty much always used to sell something, and then it gradually turns way, 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 way worse. The best example of this was the event called the Great Leap Forward under Mao Ze Dong. Mao Ze Dong, who later became the communist ruler over China and the Chinese Communist Party, funded the Great Leap Forward, where effectively China, before that, was like one of the last countries to industrialize. It's actually kind of crazy to think about how, like, they really took them forever to industrialize, despite them being around for 1,000 years. They've always been behind the meta, as you would say. So one of the ways that they were going to do that is effectively become the labor of the world, which actually did kind of work out. Mao Zedong effectively went to the countryside, which were very, very traditional family values, and turned that into a socialistic state where everybody had to plant food for the people and everybody had to make goods for the people. Sounds pretty good, right? Until you realize that, like, mass starvation was just the norm. You just wouldn't eat. You were just told, yeah, no, maybe you don't have to eat every day. Maybe your kid, could lay off the fucking meals. But Mao, he's dying. Well, he's dying for a good cause. Socialism is key. So, there's actually a good saying when we're talking about, like, when people bring it up. So, like, socialism almost always turns into, like, some type of communist dictatorship. I don't know why that does. It just does. Same thing with Mussolini. It turned into, like, a fascist dictatorship. The devil is the one that comes bringing gifts, but bears false promises. Okay? Somebody who is good brings promises of tribulation with the possibility of gifts. If somebody is going up to you and promises gifts and doesn't tell you about the tribulation that you're going to get there, yeah, no, he's a bullshit artist. In other words, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And you're probably the catch. You're probably the product here. That's all I'm saying. The Great Leap Forward, mass starvation, mass loss of private ownership, private land ownership was pretty much liquefied. He became the leader of the Communist Party, has beef with a bunch of other places that are near him, fought the Japanese, but was thankful for the Japanese because if it weren't for the Japanese invasion of China, they wouldn't have rose to power because the Japanese effectively wiped out all of the dissonance from the ruling party. So the Communist Party came in because desperate times makes desperate people, and desperate people make very, very bad decisions because they're desperate. So that's effectively how Mao Zedong kind of came into power. Outside of that, was able to make a country that lasted up till now. I'm going to put Mao up in A tier, but it's not that socialism is bad. No. It's that socialism, historically, always leads to something far, far worse, okay? It is like the wolf in sheep's clothing of like, any type of governing type. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Stalin wanted to be a Marxist and a socialist. Mao was a socialist. Like, I'm sorry, Mussolini was a socialist when he started. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, that's 3 strikes and you're out. What do you want me to say? The Butcher of Uganda. This fucking guy's an idiot. Let me get this straight, bro. You're part of one of the poorest countries in the entirety of Africa. You come to power, and bro is apparently like the light heavyweight champion of boxing in Uganda at the time, which is just funny to me. And he ruled the most boxer way possible. Very, very militantly and very, very braggadocious. How bad did this go? So it essentially ended when he didn't like Asian people, because Asian people were a pretty big part of Uganda's workforce at the time, 150,000. That doesn't sound like a lot for modern terms, but back in Uganda, that was basically the brunt of the workforce. Deported all of them to just random countries around them. And then the manufacturing of Uganda was at an all-time low because they didn't have the infrastructure to support the manufacturing at that time. So it collapsed, and then they had beef with a country in the Middle East, and then that Middle Eastern country sent in commandos into there and got back all of their hostages. And then this guy killed citizens that he said were working with him, which they weren't. He just sacrificed his own citizens, and then he got coup d'etat out of there. So the Butcher of Uganda is a fucking loser. That's really what I'm trying to say, bro. Like, I just wanted to bring him up to tell you, like, how bad this went. I'm gonna put him in D tier. Absolute fucking dumbass, bro. Jorge Ibico. You probably have never heard of this guy. The reason I'm bringing him up isn't so much the stuff that he did, it was the reasons why it happened. You ever heard of a Banana Republic? So, Banana Republic actually was a real thing. It is talking about Guatemala. Guatemala at the time, 47, I need to get this right. 42% of all the land was privately owned by a banana company that is still around, by the way. If you're buying bananas, you are buying bananas from this company. And they owned 42% of the land. This was during the Cold War, so the threat of communism was that, like, a #1 fear for the US of A. And they were absolutely making great numbers, this banana company. This banana company was starting to have trouble with unions and labor laws because they were effectively making the Guatemalans work for next to nothing. I think it was like a penny a week. And then they would die almost certainly. I want you to how low the bar was, okay? They were protesting not to really get paid more, but they were protesting if they were to die on the job, the company would pay $100 to their family. If that is not absolute peak corporate greed, I don't know what the fuck can tell you. So this banana company, who owned 42% of the land, was getting sanctions from the president of Guatemala at the time, the elected president. And this guy, okay, pretty good dude, was starting to go at this banana company. He wanted union laws, he wanted labor laws, he wanted a minimum wage set for them. And this banana company was not liking it. So they fought against all of this. And then the president hit them with, okay, if you're not going to do this, then I want a certain segment of your company land to be made for the people of Guatemala. Okay, I think he wanted to make it from 42 to 25%. So they would own a quarter of all the land in Guatemala. He just wanted to not make it almost half. And this company, who was basically using the Guatemalan people as slave labor at the time, goes to the U.S. government with lobbyists and tells them that Guatemala's becoming communist. You fucking asshole. Okay? Tells them that Guatemala is going to become a communist state if the U.S. government doesn't do anything, and we're going to pay you a good amount of money if you do it. So, the U.S. government hears this shit, and they're like, hey, oh, no, bro, we're coming in. What's going on in Guatemala? You see, Guatemala at the time had a general who was trying to perform a coup d'etat and got exiled from the fucking country. And then the U.S. government got the CIA to get that guy, and then gave him a bunch of Guatemalan-trained soldiers. No. U.S. government trained Guatemalan refugees that were going to become guerrilla fighters, and then we were going to send them into the Guatemalan country to coup d'etat the government and execute the president. Sounds very, very similar to something else that we did. I think it was called the Bay of Pigs. This happened before. This was the first time that we fucking did it. So we performed a successful Bay of Pigs in the Guatemalan country at the behest of a fucking banana company, because the banana company didn't want to pay the minimum wage. What the fuck? Bro. And then we pay for these Guatemalan militant groups to come in, overthrow the elected Guatemalan president, and then they install an actual fascist state, and then you know what they do? They give the banana company free reign, where they're not allowed to not just own 42%, they don't have to appeal to any type of, like, labor laws. They actually got to buy up to, I think it was 50% of the land. So 50% of the fucking country was owned by a banana company, which is wild, by the way. And there was still some problems with, like, oh, can I still get paid? And then what would happen, and they got convicted of this, of recruiting Guatemalan militant groups to assassinate the leader of unions. They literally were found guilty of this like 2 years ago. What the fuck? Imagine that being in like your rap sheet, like, oh, look it's a banana company. What did they do? You see, during the 1980s, they recruited a Guatemalan death squad. They killed the leaders of union leaders. What the fuck, bro? Not Jacob, what the fuck is his name? Jorge sold out the entirety of his country because of a banana company. Absolute spineless sack of shit. I'm gonna put him in C tier. C tier. Okay, C tier. Don't like that guy. He did it for a banana company. Let me just say that. Mussolini, okay. Also was a dictator at the time of Evil Mustache Man. Kind of gets overshadowed because of, Evil Mustache Man has so much aura with Stalin. He was also equally a piece of shit. He wrote for a socialist newspaper. I think it was called the Avanti. If I get that right, bro, I deserve a subscriber for that. That was off the top of my head of something I learned a while back. It was a socialist newspaper, and this is what I mean, bro. It's weird how much it begins as like a socialistic thing, and then it quickly becomes a communist thing. But this went from socialist, communist to fascist very, very quickly. Okay, there was a bunch of wars that Italy was fighting at the time. Italy was effectively a very weak country. He became the military leader, not the dictator over Italy, because Italy kind of became a military state for a time because of how much they were losing, and military became the national identity of Italy because of all the wars that they were doing. If the number one occupation for men in your country is the military, it is very, very easy to turn it into a military state because there is already a very large amount of young men, which young men are I'm sorry, historically speaking, are the most important demographic of any fucking country that they're in. Why? Because they are the ones that make up the fucking military. It is as simple as this. If I have the biggest stick, my voice is heard the most. It is really that simple. And so young men really liked Mussolini because he was a military leader and promised tranquility through force. Okay, there's no way that turned out bad. So Italy effectively became a military dictatorship, and along with that, he would use his secret police force. I think it was called the Black Shirts. If it's not the Black Shirts, it's for that was for Mao Ze Dong because he had a private. They all had their own private police force. Mussolini had a private police force, and he would use that to, normal stuff, quell politic dissidents, use young men to do it. Very, very easy. Did that, became the military dictator, goes into World War II, almost leaves World War II. Evil Mustache Man comes up to him and says, hey, don't be a pussy, I'll give you some testosterone. And then after World War II, he gets found out and killed. He tries to go to Switzerland because he's a bitch, and then gets killed on the way over there. So good job, Italians. You fucked them up. I'm going to put Mussolini below Saddam Hussein. Okay? What a wild video. Fidel Castro! I thought no better way to end this than the motherfucker who nearly got assassinated over 200 separate times and walked away unscathed. And I do mean that. We tried to kill him 200 times. A video idea that I'm playing with, because I am going to be doing some more deep dive videos. I'm just playing with a few ideas right now, and if you want me to deep dive a specific subject, please comment what you want it to be down below, because I am looking at ideas. And one of those was to break down all of the assassination attempts that we tried to hit Fidel Castro with, and kind of have like a game of which ones were the funniest. My favorite ones are, we were trying to replace one of his cigars, because he had a private cigar company that specifically made cigars for him, turn it into a stick of dynamite and it would blow up. The only reason it didn't work is that he invited somebody in and they smoked the wrong cigar. And keep in mind, if you smoked one of his cigars without telling him, you were just killed. So this guy would have gotten killed anyway. So he smoked the cigar and then died. He just got blowed up because we replaced it with a stick of dynamite, which is that's some fucking Wile E. Coyote shit right there. Another one, he was going underwater for like scuba diving. So CIA operatives went underwater and made a fancy looking cell on the bottom of the reef, and he was gonna and when he picked it up, it was gonna set off an explosion that would kill him. Okay, interesting. Another thing that we were trying to do is we were gonna replace his shampoo with hair loss cream that was going to get rid of his beard, because his beard was seen as a sign of strength. When anybody tells you that like the ruling class isn't gonna do really, really weird shit, it's like, no, we've done really weird shit. Like, we've done crazy shit. We faked vampire attacks in Vietnam. It's a matter of that they wouldn't do it. It's a matter of why would they do it here? That is really what it boils down to. No, we've done crazy shit. So what happened with Fidel Castro? Okay, so the relationship between Cuba and America has been pretty bad. America's treated Cuba as effectively like how we treat Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico kind of laid down and took it. I love you, Puerto Ricans, but at the same time, like, Cuba damn near tried to fucking kill us. You guys were pretty chill. I don't want to say laid down and took it. You guys are just cool. I think you guys should be a state. I think you guys are basically a state right now. You guys just don't get voting rights. So I think you guys should be a state. Cuba, however, we kind of treated them as our little bits boy. And we kind of ruled over them every once in a while to settle diplomatic affairs to secure our interest. Same thing with Guatemala with the banana company. So that type of interest. On top of that, there was a dude, I think his name was like Batista. I think that was his last name. He was the president of Cuba at the time that we installed. He was experiencing a coup d'etat. America didn't really care for Fidel Castro because Fidel Castro was a communist, so fuck communists, even though our guy is bad. So America endorsed and backed up Batista as the president, even though he was evil and everybody hated him. So Fidel beat that guy, became the dictator, and then he immediately said, look how the U.S. supported you guys getting oppressed by Batista, President Batista. They are not our friends. And we were kind of like, yeah, bro, we're not your friend. We're going to try to kill you over 200 times. And then Cuba became like super communist super quickly. They also created their own bowl. There's a story of a cow that Fidel Castro owned, and it was like his prized possession. And what it was a cow that could have beef, but it was also a cow that could produce milk. And in the newspaper at the time, you could actually see daily updates on the Fidel Castro's cow. So basically what I'm saying is Cuba had its own version of Mudang, but it was a cow that was Castro's cow. And people ask me how I know this shit. No, this is what happens if you were born in the generation of being terminally online and you're a fairly introverted person. This is effectively what happens. You accrue a lot of really, really weird knowledge. And it's working out for you, isn't it? So Fidel Castro, after that, the communist state basically fell apart because communism's kind of a glass cannon build. That's essentially what it is. Communism works really well if everything goes well. The moment one thing goes wrong, it all goes to shit. That's essentially what it is. Capitalism, on paper, shouldn't work, but the reason it works is that there's so many checks and balances in play that if one thing goes bad, it's actually in the best interest of the private individual to overtake them. Like, the best example of this, imagine if a food company started giving you, like, shitty food, and the food was bad, nobody wanted to eat it. There is nothing stopping you from starting your own food company and making better food and making more money. So industry became the forefront of capitalism. Communism doesn't really work because you're taking the competition out of it, so there's really no reason to do anything, so everything remains shit for very, very long. During before that, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. What's effectively happened is the Bay of Pigs incident that happened in Cuba was we tried to do the same thing that we did in Guatemala, but Cuba, it didn't work because JFK didn't want to support air support, and then he mysteriously died in an assassination attempt later on. So make of that what you will. The CIA was not happy about that, like at all. We essentially were trying to coup d'etat Fidel Castro, and then we tried to kill him 200 times, and none of that shit worked. So yeah, that's what happened with Fidel. Cuban Missile Crisis afterwards because Cuba wanted nuclear weapons. Another crazy thing that happened was we wanted to stage a false flag event to get into a war with Cuba, and one of the things that they floated out, and this is something that is confirmed that they almost did, was shoot down a civilian airliner and then blame it on the Cubans to go fight in Cuba. Which is fucking insane, by the way. On top of that, in the 1980s, we invited over a bunch of, Fidel allowed a bunch of his detractors to go to the USA because they were about to establish a coup of themselves. So to do that, he let a lot of people leave Cuba. That's why there's a lot of Cuban immigrants inside of Florida, because they left during the 1980s. And that's why they're like super, super pro-America, because they literally got to see what socialism and communism can turn a country into. So yeah, that's why that's the case now. Not trying to get political, I'm just trying to explain to you why that is. Fidel Castro caused that. He later stepped down in favor of his brother Raul Castro, who still rules to this day. During the 1990s, Bill Clinton also was trying to lower down the political temperature with Cuba. He had mixed results on that. It wasn't until Barack Obama, who was the first person since, I think it was Coolidge during the Okay. Barack Obama, this is where I start mixing up some facts. Barack Obama is the first president since Coolidge in 1932 to ever set foot down in Cuba. I do believe that was the case. Somebody can correct me in the comment section. So W Barack Obama on that one. Unironically, good job. That's actually pretty dope. And then Cuba, we have the best relationship with Cuba now than we've had in a very, very long time. We've done some fucked up shit, like the trade embargo was pretty fucked up, but we didn't want to work with a country that wanted to nuke us. So we've had a really, really rough relationship. Fidel Castro, I'm going to put Fidel Castro I'm going to put Fidel top of A. Top of A. Bro almost took out America in the Cuban Missile Crisis. I got to give him respect on that one. If you have the ability to scare the US of A, and you're the size of Florida, and you're 60 miles away from us, Like, I'm sorry, I gotta give you guys respect on that one. And there you go, that is the Dictators tier list. Bro, this was one of my most ranty videos of all time. I don't know how long this is. I'm really hoping it caught all of it. I'm actually kind of worried it didn't record all of it. But if you're hearing this, then it means it worked. Bro, yeah, this was gonna go down as an old down legendary rant. I don't know how this is gonna do in the algorithm, but this was a fun video to do, and I hope you learned something new in this video. And if you did, please consider like, comment, and subscribe. 100,000 subscribers before the release of GTA 6. I think that's gonna be in the fall of 2025. I think we're gonna be able to do it. Your support means the absolute most to me. Keep an eye out for the other special that I'm making, but this is part 1 of the 50K special. And with all that out of the way, thank you for the support. Thank you for everything that you give me the opportunity to do. This is your channel. I'm just the host of it. I know that sounds pretty communist or socialist to you, but that's really how it is with this channel. Wow, I didn't realize how much that was similar. I'm still keeping it, though. It's a good saying. With all that out of the way, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Adios, guys.